Okay, so the book I'm going to be pressing today is Wolverine #1. And a little history about this book that is kind of strange, but about 9 months ago or so, I actually bought this book at um, Jersey Comic Expo, and I paid 30 bucks for it. Reason being, it's got a little bit of a spine roll. It's got some ticks up the side, but it's a decent looking copy. And what I didn't notice, and what I don't think the seller knew as well, it's actually signed by Chris Claremont. So I don't know how I didn't see that, but if you look at it like this, you can barely see that signature. Like that, obviously it's clear as day. So that being said, I think I am going to submit this to CBCS for a verified signature, but I want to try to correct some of these issues first. So, I'm not going to treat this as a typical spine roll because it's not that bad and it should flatten out in the press. So I'm going to mainly focus on these ticks. Back cover is pretty clean, although it is slightly discolored, so I don't know if I'm going to mess with that too much. I might just try to clean it up a tiny bit. But let's get into pressing it first. And before I start working on it and pressing it, I want to show you what we're up against a little better. You see there's a lot of issues along the spine here. Rest of the cover is actually pretty nice and flat, so if I can correct some of this that's going on along here, the book will look a lot better, and it hopefully will actually grade a lot better. There is a little dent right there. You can see it by my thumb. But outside of that, everything's on the left side. Okay, so I'm going to steam this book, and what I'm using is basically a general clothing steamer. I have distilled water in it, which is the most pure water you can get. If you don't have that, obviously you can use purified drinking water. And now when I press this, obviously I'm going to steam it, but I'm also going to put a backer board on the inside of the cover, which I don't typically do, and I'm only doing in this case because of the shape with that little bit of a spine roll. Usually I would just use a silicone parchment paper on that part of the cover, but I'm going to do this first to try to get that cover a little flatter. And then I might have to press it a second time because sometimes you get that line running up and down. But we'll see once it's actually pressed. So let's start by steaming this book. I'm going to do inside a little bit as well. Now I have a backer board on the inside of the cover. All right, so the press is preheated to 150 degrees. And I also did put a silicone parchment paper inside the back cover. So silicone parchment paper, backer at the centerfold, backer on the inside of the front cover, silicone parchment paper on the sheet of metal that I have on my press. And the silicone parchment paper on top. Now I'm going to leave this in for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to let it cool down for about 2 to 3 hours. So I'll be back in a couple seconds. Okay, the press is cool. I am going to take the book out. And let's take a closer look at it. All right, you can see this one came out completely. You can't even see it anymore. And then the spine, not perfect, but definitely a lot better. If I had to guess, I'm going to say it's like a 6570 book as it sits, which is better than the 2.0 copy. And this is also would be a gold label or yellow label signature series, so that's always cool. So don't know when I'll be sending this out, but wanted to get it pressed nonetheless since I realized it was signed. So hope you liked this video. If you did, hit that subscribe button. I will leave a list of everything I used in the description, so if anybody's interested on what I used and how I used it, it'll be there. And leave me any comments and let me know what you think. See you guys next time.